Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you to tune into every Saturday afternoon. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and doing the same thing I've been doing ever since I started the show back in 2004. Trying to make sense out of a sensitive situation called the plight of veterans in the USA, and the USA with the plight of veterans. I'm here today with a young veteran. You know, he's saying all that young, but he's younger than my generation. But, we're going to be talking about his book. And you know how I like to encourage all of us to share our experiences so that people will understand them and probably appreciate them more. But one of his, I guess he was watching the show.
Yes.
And said that he wanted to be interviewed about his book. And I looked at the title and I knew right away I need to get him on the show. One of the biggest issues with PTSD is relationships. Mm-hmm. Is relationships. And I kind of told some of my story with that issue in my book, Short Change. But we're here today with a warrior married to his wife and PTSD.
Yes, sir.
Brother Curtis Walker, thank you for your service, first of all, brother.
Thank you as well.
And thank you for sharing this experience with our community, because if we don't tell them, they don't know.
True.
And that's a big problem that I have as an advocate and as a minister. I get a lot of calls from the funeral homes about veterans. What they don't have insurance, they don't have this, the family don't know this, and some of them be 100% with the very
and don't even know.
And we don't even know it. It's that's why I do what I do every Saturday, and you bringing this on deck. I'm not gonna try to act like I know what you're talking about, but I do. I'm gonna let you talk about it yourself. Man.
Yes, thank you again, sir, for having me. Like you said, we have to get the community aware of the veterans in their community. I wrote this book, and I think this book saved my life, and I want the book to save other veterans' lives as well. God told me to write this book at 2:00 in the morning, and I was like, the devil is a lie. I'm sleepy, I'm tired. But once he wake you up to do something, you're not going back to sleep. Yeah. So I went downstairs and I wrote the book, and it took me a year to write it because he wanted me to write a book within a book within a book. And I was like, well, how do you do that? Well, all the chapters that you have in the book go to a news outlet that's saying the same thing that you said, so that they don't think that you're a disgruntled veteran or you're upset at the government or you with some type of group that want to do something bad to the government. I said, okay. And then he said, make sure your book cover is catchy. So what I did was I took a picture of myself, and they, well, what'd you do that for? I said, well, I'm walking myself back home and saying, hey, thank you for your service. Now we're getting ready to go back to civilian life, and I'm gonna walk that walk with you. And that's what the book is, to walk the walk with the other veterans who need much needed assistance, because they hide a lot of stuff from us. And when I went to federal court, I found out they took my benefits away for 78 months. I was 100% total and permanent with individual unemployability. They took it away because of the celebrity status. I was the gentleman back in December 2012. One homeless veteran pays it forward at Georgia Light Company in Eagles Landing. That was me. I paid some light bills for the holidays. And the VA, they got mad. And they saw me with T.I. and Tiny. I did a speaking engagement with them. And they're like, oh, well, you're doing too much. And, you're putting a bad stain on us. And I'm like, well, I didn't say anything bad about you guys. So how's that? Your money, you don't supposed to do this and that with your money. I'm like, well, if I want to pay tithes and offerings besides in the church, I can do it outside in public realm as well. So what's the problem? So they said, well, you don't sound like you have PTSD. So what the PTSD sounds like, post-traumatic stress disorder, what does that sound like?
Well, I mean, your story is really troubling to me as a veteran of, the era before you, because we we thought we had addressed a lot of those issues. Now, I did 20 years and 8 months and 18 days in the belly of the beast after getting out of Vietnam. That means I spent 20 years of my life in prison, the U.S. penal system in America, after being wounded in combat in Vietnam because my nation had no appreciation for my service and my community had no value. So I was not given the benefits that I thought I was entitled to. But I didn't really know what I was entitled to because nobody never told me. So I in those 20 years, and this is in Myra McPherson's book, The Troubled Generation of Vietnam Veterans, which is also on Amazon. It tells the story of the influx of PTSD and what it did to particularly veterans of color, because we didn't have any community base for understanding. And you had Rambo, so they Ramboed us, so everybody was afraid of us. After that, you know, PTSD. Oh my God!
Yeah, stay away from them. They're dangerous.
Dangerous. So even the treatment modality at VA today is like that. Now, my story is that I was arrested at the VA and then came out and went back to run the mental health clinic. The same clinic I was arrested out of and went to penitentiary. Because I went to penitentiary, went to school, brought schools into the penitentiary system because of right back then you had a right to get your benefits no matter what. Now they would cut your compensation to 10% because you was incarcerated.
Yeah.
But you could give that to a family member.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I began to understand that the benefits were not just meant for me as a veteran, but for me,
for the family,
my family, and my community.
Yes.
You know, and if we look at the budget that's allocated for me and you every year, this year, 2023 is $309 billion.
Yeah.
That's the VA budget. And,
But
you know, I asked this question: if you got that kind of money, why are they saying any given day there are over 250,000 veterans homeless in the United States? They got a problem.
That's the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that they give you to make you feel better, but they know they serving you garbage, but they want to smoothen it out with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to make you say, "Oh, we're taking care of you," but really they're not.
They're not, and that's because of the politics that we have allowed to develop in government. Now,
yes,
I know it was some Republicans and some racists in the military when I was there because I was the first generation of integrationists. You know, they just integrated the U.S. military fully in 1954. That was the year that they sent advisors to Vietnam, right? They didn't know which side they were going to fight on, you know, whether they were going to fight with the Ho Chi Minh or with the South. But, you know, politics prevailed because they was over there about the poppy seed.
Yeah.
They was over there about the money. Every military conflict that we engage have, and Eisenhower told us this: beware of the military-industrial complex. Right now, they're willing to spend more money on your train than they are willing to spend on immigrants coming into this country out of danger. You know, and I'm talking about the way the populists think.
Yeah.
And we gotta realize, nephew, I'm on the station. I'm on TV, so I'll call you later. That's my nephew. He's modeling the product that we doing. We gotta talk about that later.
Okay.
But what you're doing is helping bring to the community the impact of this service on relationships. Now, I'm gonna let you talk about it a little bit because I got some questions because I think I messed up my children with it.
I did too.
So I'm gonna let you talk.
And that's the sad part right there. And this is why I speak all the time, and I tell people, when your kids call and say, "Can you send some money? Can you do this? Can you come? To my party or something?" and you're like, I'm tapped out. The VA regional office, they got my hands tied. I'm getting crumbs, and my kids was like, I can't say on TV, but they were upset, but they really didn't understand. And what parents is, we try to, not let them worry about adult stuff when they're kids, but when they got older, they said, Dad, hey, I went on Amazon and I read some of the stuff in the book. It was like, wow, we thought you was lying. We thought you didn't care about us, and that's a hurtful feeling when you did. I did 12 years inactive, 7 years full time for a total of 19. It's like, well, how you homeless? I did security for the President of the United States, Bush and Condoleezza Rice and some other people, and they were like, well, how? Non-commissioned officers are the backbone of the military, but why so many of us homeless? So I put in the book, I said, when was the last time you seen a homeless general? You never have. And I said, what happened to dignity and duty? We raise our right hands to protect you from, enemy, and it's like, thank you for your service. But when you come home, you don't sound like you have PTSD. Well, I seen you out and you with this person and that person. And what the federal judge told me was like, you don't dictate who your family members are. And then they stopped the process and was like, you have 15 notice of disagreements in an RCOM. And RCOM is a military award that's given to you by congressional. And they didn't even look at it for 78 months. So I said, why nobody went to jail? How come no one, got fired? Y'all ruined my life for 78 months. I can't get that back. There's still some people fighting, and I did the paperwork in 2014. I just been released my funds in 2020. So I waited 78 months, almost 8 years, and there was no apology. And
what you were talking about is what Yale University is suing the VA for right now, which is, and the VA has just established a equity program, like they do always when they call out and the evidence support the call out. Discrimination based on us in the VA claim process.
Yes.
And all different facets and stages of it. And we don't know it because we don't know the claim process. We get it confused with what they're supposed to do. It should be like a smooth flow into your household to make sure that the injuries that you incurred in service of this country, you're being taken care of, you and your family.
Your family.
But
it's not so.
That is not the case with too many of us.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm not saying that that they don't discriminate, that the system is right for everybody, because it's not. I mean, I don't discriminate in filing claims for veterans who whatever race, ethnic group they come from, and because we're all in the same claim process.
That's right.
But I got sense enough to know when one claim goes through faster and get a higher rating than the other one. And
that happened in my case.
Got the same, basically medical and cultural background except for race. But the problem that bothers me is that we serve with all kind of zeal and dignity and pride, and then we accept this. We yield down. Dr. King said this: if you don't, bend over, they can't ride your back. You got to stop bending over for them to ride your back.
Yeah.
You got to stop cooperating with the oppressor. You got to stand up.
You got to stand up.
What's yours? This is our country.
Yeah, we are.
This is our government. We should have a voice in the way it functions every day. We wait until election time to engage the politicians that gonna run the government for 2 to 4 to 6 years. And once they get in there, they are co-opted by business.
They forget about us.
They are co-opted.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't engage them on the policies that they hand out to us while they're co-op. We just go along to get along.
Yes.
You know, every military veteran that been in combat, and I was a combat veteran,
Mm-hmm.
that see these automatic weapons in our community should stand up and say, whatever politician that will allow this got no business in my government.
Gotta go. Mm-hmm.
But we step back and act like we don't know
What do you need an M5 for?
what the Georgia Dome doing to us.
Yeah.
And we get excited about the media running who gonna do this or who gonna do that or what in government. We got some people that's above the law, and they make us watch it while it happen. This is not the way the U.S. military operates.
No.
And why are we, as products of the U.S. military, watching this stuff when every time they allocate money for the budget of VA, they change the rules that stifles our benefits?
Yes, they do. Every single time.
And we sit back like we
let them.
or don't know no better.
Mm-hmm.
Military types, veterans,
Mm-hmm.
you know, heroes. I fought with some of the most gallant people I ever met in my life. Then they come back and die from exposure to Agent Orange. It took us years to make them everything. It took us, I was wounded in '68, it took us to 1980 to get them to recognize PTSD. But it was my generation that did it. Every generation came before it was subject to the same kind of disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
And we just sit back and act like we don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bothers me. The impact that PTSD have on relationships is going to impact our families for generations to come because we brought it home to our children.
Mm-hmm.
It not only affected our wives. Let me let you talk about that. You wrote the book.
Well, we're not married anymore. We're divorced, and it was on relationship is it's like pulling teeth. It's hard because she was a civilian, so she really didn't really know the military lingo, and she tried, I tried, and things didn't work. So we went our way peacefully because I hear a lot of divorces. They leaving, man, they kicking and screaming and fighting, and I thank God that that ours, we went separately. With no blows thrown, anything, no negative words said about each other, no rumors spread, and
My uncle came back from Korea and cut my auntie up in pieces.
Wow.
For PTSD that was not even recognized. It was Korea, brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like our government didn't know. What happened is that because we didn't know or truly understand it, it was pushed upon us as a mental illness, and that the stigma of being mentally ill, we haven't got over it yet.
It's gonna be a while.
And
it's gonna be a while.
That has stifled the conversation. But now, thankful to veterans, the coming around, getting the control. They learn how to manage the symptoms of that ailment. They're beginning to share the experience, and hopefully, this, books like yours will help families.
Yeah.
Demand more of a empowerment from the military when their loved ones are coming home.
Yes.
See, I was talking about this organization we just did this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Talking about Biden say 9 states got it down to 17 a day. A day? At Fort Hood, since 2021, 11 suicides and 8 homicides on the military base. That means that we're not employing the knowledge that we have to address the problems that we are creating.
Yeah.
And this is why veterans has, the overtone of the show has been for the last few weeks is, do veterans' votes matter? Why? Because we got to be able to direct that vote at changes that that make this book a good history book. Not what it is now. It's really a handbook for surviving.
Yeah. There you go.
Right.
A handbook to survive. Yeah.
Because see what happened to you and me, and thousands of other veterans that suffer PTSD and brought it home to our communities. It traumatized the community.
Because they scared to talk to us. They scared to look at us.
Though.
They look at us like, then they go the other way, and you're like, what's going on?
Being hyperactive. It comes out in the way you talk. So some people, when you get hyperactive, they think you're angry or upset. They get scared of you.
Yeah.
Not realizing that you are dealing with a issue that has traumatized your psyche. And for us to try to learn to deal with it, I got severe paranoia with it, and to topple that with anger, paranoia, anger, and shame. I was a mess, and
we all were. I was ashamed. I'm still ashamed when they said veteran. I said I'm ashamed to be a veteran because I said, how you got to think about it. Like we was talking on the phone the other day. You said it's about 200. About 20,000.
No, it's 700,000 in the state of Georgia. 22 million in the country. The smallest minority in the country. Less than 1% of the population of the United States ever served in the U.S. military. This is why we became such a powerful minority that don't know our power.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. When my generation integrated the military, right? I got white brothers I'm gonna love forever because they had my back in this situation, bro. And they gonna love me forever because I had that back. But when we got back home and went back to our little segregated communities, we lost communication. And this hate and fear of each other is magnified by the 2%ers, the old 2% that taking over 90% of the wealth in the world.
Yeah.
They want to keep us separated because that's control. And veterans going to be the salvation of the democracy if we can save it. And I believe we can, but we got to be able to go back to that service time period of integrating, knowing that we can all get along. If we know how to live together, work together, learn together, and serve together. And my generation, 58,000, showed they know how to die together.
Yeah.
Fighting for one idea. This common idea that we call America. You think about how you want to get back in when you was overseas.
I can't. That's true. I couldn't wait to get back home. I got tired of getting bombed at and shot at me. I was like, man, I need a break.
Just live to get back here.
Then when I get back here, I'm like you said, they handcuff you. Like I just got through fighting one war. Now I got to come home and fight another war to prove
make them even understand you.
That I have I'm diagnosed with PTSD. And in the book, I kind of soften it down and says that the soldiers, we're proud, tough, strong, and determined. Yeah. PTSD. I said, but we're heroes when we're in the war zone. When we come back home, oh, thank you for your service, and that's it. I'm like, we have to stop treating our governments like a god. We treat our governments like they're the best of the best.
That's that military perspective that we should keep, but recognize that we are all of what we got depends on all of us cooperating with it.
Once we learn that, as I said in the Bible, be about your father's business,
your father's business.
or treat yourself like you treat your neighbors. And I always prayed. I said, Lord, I said, if our government can't do that, kick them out. Put somebody else in there new that's going to do right.
See,
be about your father's business.
That's what I mean when I say do veterans vote matter, because see, this small minority. I know. When I left and went in the military, my family gave me a party. When I came home, they gave me a party. So if I vote, if I'm vocal about who I'm voting for and why, somebody in that family and my family gonna support who I support.
Yeah, true.
So that means one become 3 or 4.
There you go.
And we need to understand that's the way we gonna have to take our government back. Not like this clown that's trying to take the government from us.
Yeah.
But get those people, they done infiltrated the government.
Yeah.
With this hatred, with this fear. And we need to recognize it. As soldiers, we do.
Yeah.
I know we do.
Yeah, we do.
Because when I'm looking, every Saturday I go home and I look at the show to see how many viewers we got and what they're saying. Because this is a talk show. I'm trying to establish communication across racial line, for veterans. Basically, first of all, because all of us, we had the same watering hole. It's called the VA. And if it was operated right with the resources that it have, we wouldn't be having no 17 to 22 veterans committing suicide every day. We wouldn't have no 250,000 veterans homeless in the United States any given day. Matter of fact, we wouldn't have the economic inequity that we got in our community.
And now the female veterans, they're surpassing the men in suicide, because they're taking the family as well. And I talked about the Marine here in Georgia. When they found out, when she took her life and the kid's life, they found out, oh, she did have PTSD. And I'm like, again, nobody's accountable for this stuff.
What happened, brother, is this. I just said it. When you went into the military, those people that were closest to you celebrated them.
Yeah.
Those are the people that the military got to interact with when you come home. Because they're the ones that see the difference.
Yeah, because they're there. Yeah.
They cut them out, and we cut them out too, because we got a problem. And we trying to shield them from that problem. So I went to the streets. I went to the drug. I self-medicated. Rather than embarrassing what I thought was my family.
I thought the same thing too. And I didn't want to be a problem. I'll take it myself. Yeah.
And that's what happens that's what create the homelessness, the suicides, the early deaths.
Yes.
That's why I say when it's shortchanged. We've been shortchanged for our service to this country when we shouldn't. If you went in the store and somebody shot, and you ain't gonna leave the store till you get your money.
That's right.
We walk out the store. Veterans go. I do claims, and that's my passion, because it took me so long to learn how. So I did a brother just 2 weeks ago. He got his stuff, man, and I'm still on the show, nephew. I can see you when I get home.
He must be got some good news for you.
Yeah, because he's smart. Now, I want to take a minute to say this. My nephew keep calling me because we just taking on a sponsor to deal with razor bumps. One of the common problems, enemies that we meet in basic training.
Basic training, yeah.
And this thing now, I do claims. I met the young lady that did do the razor bump stuff. I'm helping her with her DIC, surviving spousal benefits, and learned about the razor bump stuff and it. So she challenged me. So I'm blessed. I don't have the bumps anymore, but my nephew does. He started using this stuff, and now this is a black woman too. So we're bringing this to the table. This razor bump stuff to help her, and she's gonna become a sponsor for the show. Okay. So
I might know her. Because I buy some products from a young lady as well.
Wow. Miss Hall,
Oh no.
I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah.
she'll be on the show soon.
Okay.
But we, everybody that we talking about is kind of excited about this because it will be something that a black person owns that gonna do a lot in the community for black men.
There you go.
And you don't see anybody that's focused like that regular. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that be an encouragement to our community to recognize that, okay, you got this is a common problem for black men. It's not something that other men share.
Yeah.
It's razor bumps.
Yeah, razor bumps. Oh yeah.
And we meet it when we in basic training. I know that's when I first met it because that's when I first started.
1989. That's when I met it too.
So we gonna have this corrective skincare.
Okay.
You got people can start going to the website corrective skincare, look at the product, order it. Because it actually works. It works within 30 days. That's the real part about it. She's vigilant about the product, and now we're trying it and it's working. We're actually watching it work. We're gonna have some before and after pictures to show people that. But that's a wife of a veteran.
Yeah.
See, this is and I'm gonna say this, and I know she wouldn't mind me saying this. Who was discharged from the military with a mental issue.
Mm-hmm.
With a mental issue, and lived and worked for the DeKalb County 40-some years with that mental issue.
Mm.
So that just because you got a mental issue don't mean that you are dangerous. And see, and our community, they have painted that picture.
They paint that picture, yeah.
And we need to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got to tear down this stigma, one case at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I deal with these DICs and a lot of mental patients that had heart conditions.
Mm-hmm.
The heart condition killed them, but they were service connected for the mental problem.
Didn't even know.
Now, that's the diagnosis of your illness. Now, when I was diagnosed with PTSD, they diagnosed me with a heart problem, which is now recognized as the ischemic heart disease. So it's service connected.
It's a service connected, yeah.
But if you don't know these things, you can't educate your family. The people you love the most love you. They suffer when you suffer. And we know this because when we went in the military, the one thing we wanted to make sure of is that we didn't do nothing that was going to embarrass the folks back home. We didn't want to do nothing.
My grandfather used to say, if you're going to mess with the last name, change it.
So we got to get this back together and start recognizing who we are. We are veterans.
Yeah.
And we done did things that no other part of the community has done. We need to share that growth with our community because you got people now that got our community so scared that they want a racial war.
Yeah. And that's crazy.
That
That's
ain't
crazy.
insanity.
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm.
And veterans across the board know that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be talking about it so we can make our families and our friends know that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Anybody that think like that, we don't need them in our governments.
None at all.
Not in the city, not in the county,
Yeah.
not in the state, not in the federal.
Not in the federal,
on a dog catcher
None.
or schoolmaster.
None.
Because
All of them need to be
they
gone.
gonna preach hate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what, bro. Every Black History Month, I pick one from our history and learn. This year I did Mega Edwards. I didn't understand. Somebody. Jose was my real hero.
Jose Williams.
He was my hero. And, I learned a lot from Jose. I got a chance to meet Charles Rangel. I never did get a chance to meet Maggie Edwards, but all these brothers had something in common. All of them served in the U.S. military.
Mm-hmm.
And Maggie Edwards' story is that he was in the totally segregated military and had a problem with it because he didn't think it matched up with his service. So he didn't, but he lived to see it integrated, but he was not a part of that integration.
Mm-hmm.
It was after his service period. But what he learned in that he could impact government, he thought. Went back to Mississippi to try to register voters. That's what he was doing. Because he recognized that vote could you know,
Yeah.
get us into politics.
Mm-hmm.
They shot him in the back just for trying to register. That's the hate
Yeah.
that we need to we left unaddressed.
Yeah.
Because we come back into our segregated community. It's doing better now because the U.S. military is the best integrated,
Mm-hmm.
the most integrated, the best functional part of our society.
Mm-hmm.
And you see all these young people from everywhere
Yeah.
getting along
Yeah.
on basis.
And you wonder why the government can't do it.
Why the rest of society
Yeah,
can't do
and
it.
the society. Yeah.
You see, what it is, they have to keep us separated in society, because if we jailed the way the military jail, we would perform just as good as the military performing.
Yes.
That means that...
And there's nothing wrong with that.
They would have all this control over our communities.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have violent crimes in the community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We need to understand that veterans bring something really unique to the table because of our experience.
Mm-hmm.
But we act like we within each of us, we got some pride about it, but we won't push that pride onto the community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a friend that white boy. I love him, and he loved me.
Mm-hmm.
But he went back to his roots, and he married somebody that hadn't grown,
Mm-hmm.
and they got pulled right back into that mentality. Even though I watched this man for years,
Mm-hmm.
years after military service, you know, just, and didn't have none of that to work with, but he went back into it and got into a marriage that he wouldn't be the man that he was in the military with. He could have stopped, he could have changed him, but he allowed them to change him.
I had a battle buddy from 1989 to now. We don't even talk anymore because he said, we can't talk anymore because your differences is not the same as mine. And I was just like, wow. I said, are you kidding me? And I said, well, now you find out who your true friends
Well, see,
are.
we stopped the communication when we went back into our communities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we stopped the communication, so we become victim of the culture of our community.
Mm-hmm.
It won't let us grow away from it.
Yeah.
You know, we have to embrace it. When we hear negative comments about another person's race, we don't say anything about it. We might cringe because we don't feel like that's right or that should be shared.
Yeah.
But we don't say that. Because this is our family, our friend circle. We want to be comfortable there. We don't. Matter of fact, I don't
Sometimes
think we
you
want
gotta
them to know that we done grow that much.
You got to come out of your comfort zone sometimes, you know.
Or we're gonna die like fools in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got some idiots, and I'm gonna say idiots, that want to control, and they'll do anything to get it. They don't care nothing about the people that they control, but they want control at any cost. And we act like we don't recognize that there are people like that. And I'm gonna go so far as to say, I'm a Christian, right? Minister. The Bible told us that, you know, the Antichrist is here.
Oh, yeah.
The spirit of the Antichrist is here. When you start seeing people making golden images of a man, you should be concerned.
Oh, yeah.
We see all these contradictions in what we know to be right, and we don't say anything about it. We don't even have a conversation about it. You know, it used to be times when I first got, you know, stable enough to start dealing with my PTSD, they had what you call rap groups at VA, so it gave you a chance to at least meet other veterans
and listen to their issues as well.
They had,
but the vet centers, I think they still do that.
Yeah, now we started the vet center.
Oh, okay.
During the Vietnam era, because we wouldn't go to the VA.
Yeah.
So they started the vet center. Now the vet center is still there, but you know, something's happening with this younger generation of veterans. That, well, I guess because the tech savvy veterans.
Yeah.
They think that they can endure this alone.
Yeah.
You know, they think they can do and do. I done met a couple of 100%ers. They're 100% service connected, but they ain't doing nothing with it. And that, you know, in that
I
life.
talk about that in the book.
Nothing. You know, they ain't no
Nothing at all.
Nothing that's gonna keep them fixed with the triggers that they will encounter.
Yeah.
And that's where we those of us that know, and when you're writing, you know, we got to be active.
Yeah.
You know, write and active. You know, it's like faith without work is
Dead.
So we got to write and we got to push it. Because see, you might save a lot of families with this knowledge. Because see, I didn't want to accept that I was the problem. That my stuff was the problem. Everybody else was the problem but me. Right? I'm saying, cause I'm paranoid. Right? I ain't know nothing about paranoia now. So I'm pushing it. It's everybody else's fault but mine, because they don't see me right. They don't like me. Right? They scared of me. I ain't.
Why they staring at me?
Yeah, why they looking at me like that all the time? You know? So I had to get past that and wonder why everybody else was the problem with me. It couldn't be everybody else was the problem everywhere I went.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's the problem but me. My perspective was tainted by PTSD. Totally tainted. It's just messed up.
Because it make you think a different way, and a lot of, like you said, a lot of the civilians, they never been in our shoes, so they don't know.
And we in our shoes, we don't want to admit it to them.
And we don't want nobody to wear our shoes because they know the stuff that we went through, man. Wow.
And I'm gonna tell you some of the stuff that we did while we were going through it. We don't want nobody to see us like that.
Nah.
We don't want nobody to even think that we could be like that. But that was a job that we had to do.
War is like that, though.
Yeah, that was a
I mean,
job
it's either you or either them. You know, we had kids that pulled hand grenades on us and pulled a pin.
Listen,
I mean,
it's in my records.
it's in mine too.
You know, so we have to share this though.
Yeah.
And let people know how bad it makes you feel.
Yeah.
How
I still have night terrors, man, and sweats.
How hard it is for you to digest that was you.
Yeah.
Because don't nobody want to see themselves like that.
Because some of them kids were the same age as my kids.
Yeah.
But they tricked them and said, well, if you do this to a military,
you'll meet Allah. Start the wall.
No.
You know, you did not define the wall. You was just fighting the wall. And it's only by the grace of God, I believe, that I survived the wall. For a purpose. To have this conversation. To be able to get people to see beyond the veneer of the veteran's persona. We got some hellacious persona. I was a paratrooper, so I think I'm the person that banged the Superman. That was so that was so naive, you know, but that's what they made you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
You had to establish some pride in all of that.
And y'all got them jumps in the morning time, night time. Don't know where y'all gonna land. So yeah, man, because my dad was with a 101.
And then get caught up in a wind jump. That's gonna be something else.
Yeah, that's something else you gotta take care of.
So we get, but they feed that stuff as some kind of conqueror, some kind of super person. And we take that back home. We want them to think that we some kind of super person. So those flaws, those injuries, we don't want to see them. We don't want to see them.
As we say, you know, we suck it up and keep it moving.
Yeah. and the problem with that is that we have 17 to 22 young veterans every day. Now let me see. Let me back up. Veterans, because they cross.
They cross. You
You know, they crossed generational line. They got Vietnam veterans, Korea veterans, and Afghan veterans, all of them, going through the same thing.
And Desert Storm.
And all of them
Yeah,
going
all
through
of
the
them.
same thing. And let me tell you something. We think that, and I get this, well, I didn't go overseas, so I don't got no dis. You don't have to go overseas to get a disability.
No, you don't.
The U.S. military. If you were stationed at Fort Gordon, Georgia, they was Agent Orange
Yes.
tested there. It didn't hit the PAC Act.
Augusta, Georgia.
It's not on the PAC Act. You know, so we need to be making them amend the PAC Act. Because there are thousands of veterans that look like me and you suffering from hypertension today that can't relate to the burn pits or radiation exposure.
True.
You know, but they need somebody to tell them they got all of these options there. And some of them got double exposure, like the Marines went to Camp Lejeune and then went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
They messed up for real.
Yeah.
They got Agent Orange,
They got the water
PTSD,
treatment,
the water,
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the VA ain't never talked about double exposure for them. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
Because they having problems getting the diagnosis they need now to get the money that they done set up there for them. The lawyers getting the money.
And the veterans are not getting a dime.
The sufferers are not
They-
getting a dime.
As I said, our government is feeding off the backs of the veterans. They've been doing it, like I said, since your era. Now it's my era now, and they doing it. They doing it here too.
And if we don't do this, bro, if you don't do this, if somebody don't start telling the stories, it's gonna be generational.
Yeah.
It already generational, really. But you know, I think now it's time for us to start doing this, writing books. I know you got politicians that want to ban some books.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, they-
Some of them have the book, and I'm still waiting on them to give me a call. I'm gonna call you. We're gonna do this for the veterans. But you ever notice, anytime when a congressional person goes up for re-election, you never see any commercials about we're gonna help the veterans.
Listen.
But Ukraine, they gave Ukraine
what
$100 billion in Ukraine.
What happens? They done set up the VA. That's the entity they got to address veterans, right? And they done turned it to HMO. They got veterans going out there paying co-payments.
Co-payments. Why are you paying co-payments? You got TRICARE and you got your regular. So why you got the veterans paying?
Yeah, going to the VA. Now that's insulting to me.
But see, didn't you already pay when you put your right hand up to the fight?
When you sustain the problem that you was in service with, you paid for it. And the problem with it right now is that they don't understand that these benefits, you know, they done made them so complicated. They overlook the simplicity of it. You ain't got to do but 3 things to get a benefit: diagnosis, service nucleus evidence, and showing long-term injury.
Yep, that's the 3 right there.
If you do that on any and every claim, you win. Now you got the benefit of the doubt, the duty to assist, and the duty to notify, and
Notice of disagreement.
All this right here is designed in the process for the VA to help veterans. And this is where all the discrimination come into play. Because they can send you to a exam in a place where they know that you don't even go there after dark.
And then you get the thing back and it's talking about denied.
Well, what they do, they got to find out more likely than not, or less likely than not.
Yeah.
And they get somebody. Now I got a case right now where the brother was in Vietnam, right? And if you went in Vietnam, there's a presumption that you was exposed to Agent Orange.
Agent Orange.
He had prostate cancer, right? If you was in Vietnam, you got prostate cancer. There's an assumption, right, that you was got a service connection. The cause of death was not denied because the cancer had metastasized. They trying to say that metastasized changed the nature of the cancer.
How?
It was just the prostate cancer untreated that spread it. and they got this woman going traumatizing her about the benefits.
And see, that's what they do. They see, the thing is, they want us to do a job, but they don't want to pay us.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what it is. We got to vet the people that we elect into office so that they can better appoint and hire people.
We got to make them accountable like they made us accountable
That's
when we raise our right hand. Yep.
If you do
make them accountable.
We ask them right now. We should be down in Georgia General Assembly and dealing with them people every day about this carry law, where the police can't even stop you. You walk around with a gun in your pocket.
See, that right there.
I went to a cousin funeral, man, and left because I was to see all these young kids walking around
with guns.
In their house.
See. They shoot themselves. Now we got to go in and perform first aid on them to save their life because they carry where they carry that in the front.
And they don't even know how to operate it.
Yeah.
You know, so we need sensible gun control laws.
Yeah.
We need the only way we're gonna get this right.
We don't need no ARs out here though.
What we need to do is understand that our vote is what we need to use to get the government in check. Because see, if we vet these people, we want to know what you're going to do before you get in office.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in office, we want to see what you're doing while you're there. Because when you come down to the next election, you ain't did what we want you to do, you got to handle.
Well, see, the ones here in Georgia, I still want to know what they're doing for the veterans.
Well, now, I'm going to tell you what they just did, since you want to know.
Okay.
The Georgia Department of Veterans Services, the entity in the state of Georgia that's designed to take care of Georgia veterans, right? Just got a $748,000 grant from the VA to address veteran suicide.
But where's it going in?
Kennesaw State.
Why?
To do studies.
We are the studies. We are the studies. The veteran.
No, see, this is what I'm saying.
We are the studies.
The house is on fire, and they want to do a study. See, this is why they doing that.
See.
Because that's who we allowed to be elected to government, right? That's what we did with our vote.
That's a slap in the face. That's what that is. That's terrible.
Listen. They got all this money, and you know what? Now what we got to do is contact Kennesaw State with this in. See, these folks are on the front line every day. Dealing with this problem with people, children. One of the ladies that was there is loving and caring. She started a movement because her son, 23 years old, came home, got out of the military, good military discharge, had some injuries in the military, and obviously had PTSD. You know, trying to readjust.
Yeah, readjust back into society again.
He killed himself.
Because he couldn't take it.
He couldn't take it. He couldn't handle it.
Because see, when you around, I tell people all the time, when you around your battle buddy, like when I was married, I would say, I'd rather be around my battle buddies because we was in the war together, we fought together. You know, they know me, I know them, and it wasn't a disrespect to my ex-wife. It was just. I felt that your battle buddies gelled, even more because that's who you was around the majority of the time, and it's.
And what we got to do is keep this going, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I will go fast when you're having a good time. But what I want to just remind our audience, we want you to go to sonsofatlanta.org. We are building a memorial in Piedmont Park, Atlanta Historic Piedmont Park, for the 246 young men from Fulton County, Georgia, 9 cities in Fulton County, including Atlanta, Georgia, who had sons killed in the Vietnam War. Now we got land in Piedmont Park to erect a memorial. We thought we had it funded last year, but we had some city council people that don't have a lot of concern or caring about veterans and military service. So the funding was blocked. So we want to try to see what they're gonna do this year. The budget is coming up. Michael Julian Bond is our point man. He's running the ball. He told me, we shouldn't be trying to raise money to do this memorial. The city of Atlanta is going to do it. So we're looking forward to this, and we want to give a shout out to all the organizations that we are talking with, that we are partnering with in the community. Yes, Fulton County put out another $1 million, and we want to see what kind of impact it's going to have for veterans in Fulton County. Didn't have the first $1 million. We haven't gotten accountability for it yet, but we need to understand. We need to stop people from using our name and not giving us our benefits.
True.
You know, we got to.
That's a big issue there.
You know, we got to stop them from allocating money in our name, and we looking under the bridges seeing veterans. You know, we got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
We got to have more respect for our service. We got to have more respect for what we serve for. You know, and we got to have more love for our community than we got now by we just being quiet while they got automatic weapons in the streets. And we got mental illnesses that they can go get a gun, go into church.
Those are my family members at AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah.
Go into church, go in the grocery store, go into schools, and kill our people. It's time out, veterans, for being quiet.
Yeah.
You know, we're the service of this country.
Yeah.
You know, I do it all over again. Tell the truth.
I go again too.
Yeah,
People
people
tell me I'm crazy, but I go.
I do it all over again, man.
I sign up again. Yeah.
Because you know the people that I serve with, you know, they were some amazing people.
Yeah.
You know, from every different part of the community. We was able to show the rest of the community something that they don't want to see. We can all get along, and we can do better together.
That's true.
You know, what they got us doing, they got us wanting to kill each other. We got somebody, this thing done got so bad right now, we got people threatening people that's serving in our government because they won't do what they want them to do the way they want them to do it. And then we got people that done infiltrated the government that's cooperating with this mess. Veterans Talk. We are here every Saturday afternoon doing the same thing, y'all. We want you to start calling in too at 470-521-4647. You can call in, join the conversation. You can call in like my brother Curtis did and say you want to be interviewed on the show, because this is about veterans. You know, it's not about Vietnam veterans. It's not about Afghan veterans. It's about all veterans.
Yeah, we all family.
And I don't care what race you come from or what community you come from. You know, we're here for veterans, period, and their families and their community. So thank you, Curtis, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Man, you know, I'm on, you know, you had to come back. You didn't do that much talking today, so we got to get into this, into the nuances of this book, because see, it's a lesson.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, it's a lesson that our community need. You know, it's not just for veterans.
Yeah.
It's for family members.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody that's breathing need to have this book at home and in their office.
And they need to see, because what it is going to give them a better understanding of PTSD.
Yes.
You know, I have, I was talking about that, and we need to really talk about that some more. So I'm going to ask you to come back again.
You let me know, and I'll change my schedule, and I'll be here.
You know, because we need to get this out, man. This is something, so I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you again.
Thank you again, man.
Thank you as well.
Next week, y'all. Same place, same time. Thank you for Veterans Talk. JoJo.
Let me go ahead.